This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk about the other major storyline they're trying to set up here. They've got Seth Rollins and Sting set for the main event. And they did this by, I guess, suggesting that Sting had won every major title except the WWE title. And I don't know, I guess, you know, he certainly has a resume to warrant that, but the old school fan in me wonders, what'd you think about Sting getting a title shot in his second match after his first one at WrestleMania? Of course, famously, he lost to Triple H, and now he's in a title match. Did that sit well with you, or was it okay because it's Sting?
Well, I think it would have been okay because he was Sting if there would have been a better, different outcome, which we could talk about a little bit later when we get to the match.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's talk about our main event. We're finally here. Seth Rollins and Sting go nearly 15 minutes, 14:56. It gets 3 stars. Man, this is scary to watch back. Meltzer's write-up is Sting did a plancha to the floor. He hit the Scorpion death drop, but Rollins got his foot on the rope. Rollins then came back and powerbombed Sting into the turnbuckles, which was the injury spot. Sting went down, but got up and tried to continue, but then collapsed coming off the ropes. The trainer and a doctor came to the ring and were checking on Sting while Rollins played to the crowd for a distraction for about 2 whole minutes. Sting was motioning that he wanted the match to continue, and the crowd got pretty hot when it was restarted. They went right to the finish. Sting immediately put him in a Scorpion deathlock, and Rollins went to the ropes. He went for it a second time, and this time Rollins cradled him for the pin. Sheamus then came out and laid out Rollins with a brogue kick and motioned to cash in the briefcase. The crowd went pretty nuts for that, and then Kane came out and Sheamus backed off. Kane would choke slam Rollins, and Sheamus was back to wanting to cash in, but then Kane choke slams him too. Kane gives Rollins the tombstone piledriver, and the show ends. After Kane leaves and Sheamus gets up, they're screaming at Sheamus to cash it in, with Rollins selling on the ground, but he just went to the back. 3 stars. So there's a lot to unpack after the match, but first we should talk about the spot, the turnbuckle bomb. I think, the buckle bomb may have been low key banned from the company. I think there was a scary spot with, Nia Jax a few months ago, but this is probably the most infamous buckle bomb. Is there a safe way to do it? Would you have felt comfortable taking it, or was it just bad luck that day?
Yeah, I don't know that I would have had any problems doing it. You know, the key is, and this is entirely up to the guy giving it to you. You need to hit that buckle like about right above your shoulder blades, not with your neck.
Right.
And I think Sting hit it with his neck. And, you know, that's one of those things that there's not much margin for error. And to be honest with you, not being a precisionist, I wouldn't want to do that to a guy and trusting myself to get it perfect. And I don't know that I would have ever wanted to take it, you know, and I've been in the ring with some great workers, but anything that I can't see that's behind me, I wasn't a big fan of German suplexes or this buckle bomb, because you can't see where you are in the air. You can't adjust. And it's just a blind faith. And not that Seth was ever reckless. I don't believe that, or not that he did anything, you know, just too quickly, maliciously. I'll never believe that.
Right.
Thanks for that. That's the word I was looking for. It just was an accident, and accidents happen in this business. And if you're not used to hitting that buckle, and it's been years since Sting hit turnbuckles, and to hit one that way where you can't even see where you're landing, it's just pure accident. That's all it could have been if I was a betting man.
Were you watching this on the monitor? Did you see it happen? And when you did your heart go in your throat? I mean, this is a guy you've known for well over 30 years. And obviously you have a soft spot for any sort of spine or neck injuries. And when you see a guy who, you know, has gutted out a lot of tough stuff go down and collapse, that's got to be a pretty scary moment.
Believe it or not, the first thing that went in my mind was that he was just doing a great job of selling.
Right.
I didn't think oh God, he's hurt his neck damage. I did not, that didn't cross my mind, because it wasn't one of those things where he landed on his head or something obvious, you know. Um, it was just one of those things. I went, God Almighty, he's really selling that great. And then obviously when the doctor was sent down and the referee gave the sign, that somebody's hurt, then it became, okay, him falling down like that's got to be something else, and something else probably pretty serious. Normally they would have just, had it not been the main event, they would have just stopped that match right there and it had been over.
Do you think
no decision?
I mean, Sting is trying to wave him off. He wants to continue, but to your point, I do think if this would have happened on Raw or SmackDown or something like that, they would have stopped it. But I don't know that medical professionals should have the ability to make that call. Do they just lean into a guy like Sting, since he's got so much experience and he is a veteran and he knows his body, and say, hey, if he says he can continue, or is the directive from the back, hey, if we can find a way to get a finish, let's do. I'm curious how that decision is made and who ultimately makes it, because you do wonder from a liability standpoint, if this would have went bad and Sting would have really continued to compete and then seriously injured himself to a much greater degree than he did, that would have been a nightmare for WWE and Sting's family.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that, the medical staff has a lot of authority to stop a match. I don't know that a guy, because that discussion has came up in meetings where we were going over, the rules and all those things of what happens if a guy gets busted open, what happens if a guy gets hurt. And it's been stated, guys, the talent cannot tell you I'm okay and you let them finish the match. They don't have that authority. So it's taken out of their hands. Now, this being a unique situation, the world title match and the main event of a pay-per-view, he says he's okay, he can get it done. I don't know if a quick decision was made to make an exception, other than having however many thousands of people wanting their money back because there was no finish on the pay-per-view and the main event. A lot of things probably went into that decision. Was it ruled or decided that there was more damage done by him finishing the match?
No, I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I think the term is spinal stenosis, and he's going to wind up leaving the building that night in an ambulance. And obviously Seth feels horrible. And I mean, did you see the scene? We've heard both Sting and Seth Rollins talk about, sort of the aftermath backstage on WWE Network. Did you see Sting get loaded up? Did you talk to him when he comes through the curtain or anything like that?
No, I couldn't get near him. And to be honest with you, the medical staff was surrounding him, and there wouldn't have been a way to get to him anyway. I think I must have been talking to Cena backstage, probably. Sorry to say, I probably wasn't watching the match as close as I should have, but I would have been talking to John about it probably at that point, because it wouldn't have been that much longer since their match finished.
It's pretty special to look back at Sting's incredible career. And then it's kind of sad to see that, his two big matches in WWE were at WrestleMania, and they did the silliness that we've talked about at WrestleMania with DX and the NWO, and he loses his debut. And the announcers, as you said, were burying him about he's, finally wrestling
little fish in a big pond.
Exactly. And then he gets the title shot and he's in the main event with arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, Seth Rollins. And it feels like a good story. It does feel like he's got an advantage because, to your point, he has to be worn down from Cena, and instead he leaves in an ambulance. Not exactly the storybook ending we would have hoped for Sting.
And there's one thing that, you go back and look at the details and you think about this. That was a WCW themed pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Night of the Champions.
Instead of Clash of Champions, it's Night of Champions. It's similar. Yeah. It's sort of an homage, if you will.
and you got a WCW guy in the main event for the world title against all odds. Had he won the title on that WCW pay-per-view, can you imagine the WCW fans that you would have gotten back?
It would have been huge.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do next week. I cannot wait till Raw to hear what he's got to say. Yeah, I was a WCW fan, which, there's a lot of those around at one time. When it just jarred business and shook so many things up and created a line of challengers out the back door.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.